So I think there's one plugin in Studio One, a stock plugin that I think is criminally slept on. It's something that I don't think a lot of people use, but I think a lot of people would get a benefit from it. And frankly, I have not used it a lot until recently. So I'm going to show you what that is because I think it could be really useful for some of your productions. So right now we just sort of have this really, really simple bare bones loop here, just sort of a deep house sounding chord progression here. But right now it's kind of boring. There's not like much going on, and that can be the drawback of pads is that they often have like a slow attack time, so there's not really much you can do rhythmically with them. They usually are just sort of these long sustained chords that you mostly have in the background. But I wanted to try something to see if we can add some rhythmicity to it, some rhythmics to it. And so we can do that using one of these stock plugins. And so let's check that out. So on this pad here, we are going to add Xtrem. And so right now, there's not really much happening, but that's because this depth is pretty low. So once I turn this up, you'll notice what this does almost immediately. So it's basically adjusting the amplitude of the sound. And right now, it doesn't really sound that good, but that's because it's at a low LFO speed. So let's change that to maybe something a little more musical. Okay. All right. Here we go. So what's really neat is that we can do something to this to essentially make it act like that VST kickstart to give it that sidechain effect. So if we click flip, watch what happens. Oh. See, now we got that sidechain effect going. So that's pretty neat. So you can use this stock plugin essentially as a sidechain plugin if you want to, if you're doing 4 on the floor kind of beats, and you don't even have to buy Kickstart. So that's neat. But there's more that this can do that I like as well. So we can adjust the depth. So right now we have a lot going on. It's cutting out a lot of amplitude, but we can adjust that. But I kind of like it up in this 95% spot. I like that. But what I want to do now, I want to flip it back to where it was. And now I just kind of want to play with this LFO speed and see if we can get something else that sounds pretty cool. There we go. So now we have kind of like this gated effect at sort of a 1/8 note rhythm. But we can also make it even faster. So that can be cool. Let's bring it back to 1/8. So right now it's at this trem mode here, but we can actually change this to a pan. Now, truth be told, I don't really like that so much, but if you like that musically, it basically just pans left and right. So that's kind of an interesting effect. But I like this mostly in this tremolo effect here. And if you can see, we have different shapes here. So I'm just gonna keep it at 1/8 and then check out some of these other effects or these other LFO shapes so you can hear how that sounds. So more of a triangle. So it's a little bit steeper curve. This sounds smoother to my ears. This is a ramp up, which could be really cool for swelling sounds. So you could have this for 1 bar, let's say. That could be really cool for like reverse sounding swells and things of that nature. And then we have this. So this is a much more sharp example. That's the only way I can describe it. So this is sort of a smooth fades in and out. This is just like it cuts in and it cuts off. But what's neat with this is that you can automate this if we wanted to. And we can play with some of the LFO speeds here. So let's try that out. Boom. So that's a pretty interesting thing that you can do there, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. Because there's a couple other interesting little categories here that are pretty interesting. So I'm gonna go to this one first. So this sounds like a mess, but if I lower this LFO speed, you can kind of hear what it's doing. So right now, this is 1 bar. As it's playing through 1 bar, and you can basically set up the rhythm. So if I do this, basically this is set up as 16th notes. So right now, every quarter note it's playing, but I can add like a rhythm here. So this is a way that we can add some rhythmics to our pad, even though the pad probably doesn't have a really good attack time, but this kind of forces it to have one. And of course you can change the depth of this. So that's pretty neat. Now we go here, and this is a little bit of a more complex version of this. I prefer to use this if I'm gonna do something rhythmic like this. This basically is like, this is showing the same thing as this, but the further up it is in a certain column, the stronger it's gonna be played. So let me change this note here. So this gives you some ideas to work on, like different little rhythmics you can add in. So right now, we've changed from this to this, which is like way more interesting of a sound than what we had in the beginning. So I'm a big fan of this plugin, and it's not to say that I use it in every song, but I do think that is definitely one of Studio One's most slept on plugin. So give this a try in one of your next productions, and let me know what you think about it. And until next time, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.